In today's live stream video, I'm going to discuss with my guests how we can resell vinyl records, including what to and not to purchase, grading, cleaning records, and more. He'll share his tips and strategies to help make us more successful and profitable resellers. Every Wednesday, I have a live stream, and I usually interview another reseller and I have them share their tips, tricks, and techniques to make us more profitable and successful resellers. So if you are interested in reselling, then you are in the right place. Just say hello to a few people in the chat, folks, and we shall get started very shortly. I saw Jennifer was here first. Appreciate you being here, Jennifer. Randy, my moderator, appreciate you being here as well. Randy, Elisa C, good to see you as well. We have our guest in the chat. We also have Mike Flippin' Goodies. Good to see you all. Like I said, so today we're going to be discussing basically, purchasing records, vinyl for resale. And we'll also talk about some other things such as CDs and cassettes. Is that worthwhile picking up as well? So like I said, I have an expert on as far as records. So we'll bring my guest on, and he's my namesake, Adam. So we're going to bring on Adam, Record Krate, and have Adam introduce himself. Hello, sir.
Hello. Hey, everybody. I'm Adam. I'm with Record Krate, and I like records, and I sell records, and I have the hardest job in the world. So anyway, I have 3 stores. I'm in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. I have a store in Raleigh, I have a store in Wake Forest, and I have a store in Selma. And I work probably 16 hours a day.
16 hours a day. I'm going to ask you, what did you do before that? I mean, you're from North Carolina originally?
Yeah, I'm from North Carolina. I have an art background.
Okay.
I grew up on a farm. We did tobacco. We did vegetables. I thought I knew what work was, and then I was very fortunate to have a wonderful life where I did a lot of art. So I lived a very enriched life. Also did some teaching. I did some teaching in elementary, junior, or middle school, and also college level.
Okay. So you were certified teacher? Okay. Oh, in art. Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. So, how long have you been in the? Like I said, I saw you in another channel. You were talking about, how you got involved in the record business. So, you were into music, and then you purchased some, I guess, some like bulk lots of albums. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, I've always liked records, and when I was able to start buying records on my own, I would go everywhere I could, yard sales, record stores, and then in the 90s, in the 2000s, I just started looking more and more for records because we saw fewer records in the stores. And so I would go looking and sourcing for records for myself, not for resale.
Right.
And I would go somewhere and somebody would say, "Oh yeah, get the whole crate for $5." And I was like, "Yes, I'll do it in a heartbeat," just so I could get 2 or 3 that I really wanted. And then it just kind of got to the point where I was offering records for sale in my studio that I didn't want. I was like, well, these are paying for the records I do want. So it wasn't long before I went and did some pop-ups, and next thing I knew, I wanted more records. And so I didn't want people coming in my house. I didn't want people going in my studio anymore. And so I opened up a place where it would be very neutral, and thinking it would be a great place for a hobby, a great place to get some records, and it turned into a job.
Yeah, 16 hours a day, yeah.
16 hours a day. And, that's just been, since March of 2020.
Right. That was one of the questions I had for you as far as, and I always talk about, and the people that watch my channel know I'm big on these old sayings, and there's a reason that these sayings have lasted for generations. One of the things I learned in college was, 2 things I learned was, the only thing that is permanent is change. So you have to constantly adapt and be willing to change, basically. So with the coming of the pandemic, I guess it was difficult getting help as well, right?
Well, I lost all my help. I lost my customers. We lost so much. And so I had 8 employees on March 8th, 2020. And they, the state of North Carolina, we were forced to close if we were non-essential.
Right.
And so, therefore, I could have. We didn't know what to do. Nobody knew what to do. I could have went and got fruits and vegetables and peanut butter and bread and sold that and been open, but I didn't know what to do. So
Right.
here I am. And so I have a guy that's been stepping forth up in Wake Forest, and he's been helping me out a lot. He loves the blues, so that's a big plus
Okay.
for my customers.
Now, the Wake Forest, and I know a little bit about North Carolina, just a little bit about the Outer Banks and a little bit about North Carolina. But Wake Forest is that kind of like a college town, right?
So we have Wake Forest University,
Right.
which is in Winston-Salem, North
Oh,
Carolina.
that's in Winston-Salem. Okay.
Wake Forest University used to be in Wake Forest, North Carolina, but they moved.
Okay,
And
I didn't realize that.
a seminary stepped in. So
Oh, seminaries were the colleges. Okay, or was, I should say. Right.
yeah, and so I don't get any customers from the seminary,
Okay.
so that's okay.
Yeah, I guess priests don't buy a lot of records, right? Maybe buy religious records.
There you go. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So Wake Forest is fun. It's quaint. I'm downtown. The town thinks a lot of their businesses, and they like hoo hoo hoo, and so that's where we are there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to say hello to Tara's in the chat, and also Mom Knows Treasures Markets in the chat. Appreciate you guys,
Hey, Mom.
I should say ladies, joining us. Not guys, ladies. Okay, so I forget. I know you mentioned before. How long have you been since you started those stores? What year?
About 9 years ago.
About 9 years ago.
Yeah, unless we don't count the last 3 years.
Yeah,
But
yeah. We all might want to forget those last 3 years, but unfortunately, we've all aged those 3 years too, and then some.
that's
So when
true.
you said you were doing pop-ups, were you doing like flea markets and that type of thing, or going to like to
No, I would go to events. I mean, I have an
okay,
art
events?
background. I have an art background, so
Right.
I would go to as many events as I could and pop up a tent and
I got you.
and sell prints and T-shirts
Okay.
and small paintings and carry a cooler full of beer and pass out beer to all my friends and say, "Hey, let's hang out." And then I was like, "Can I come over with some records?" And so they're like, "Yeah." So I would do pop-ups, and so it was community events. It wasn't
Okay.
flea markets. It wasn't yard sales. It was just
Gotcha. Okay.
Raleigh's a college town, North Carolina State University, William Peace College, blah blah blah, and so we have lots of culture here and we have lots of rock and rollers. So it was always a fun place to let's do an event and have a party, you know.
Hmm. Have they come back and started doing these pop-up events yet, or are they still kind of on hold?
There's some. I there's a bottle shop that I did stuff with for years and took a break, but now I'm going out there twice a month and doing a pop up there. I just
Okay.
basically go in the lobby, the dining room, and commandeer some tables and take some crates of records and hang out and enjoy IPA and sell some records. And
There
so
you go. Okay, we're gonna get into guys. We're gonna get into, like I said, those of you that watch my channel on a regular basis know I'm kind of here to help educate you as well as myself and learn more about the different categories and reselling. And we're fortunate enough to have Adam on today to teach us about what to source as far as LPs and possibly cassettes and CDs as well. We're going to learn about how we can clean records, grade records, list records, etc. So, as I like to say, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the show now. So, you said that I know, again, I saw the video that you did with Paul, and you said that there's limited release records such as marble, colored, splattered vinyl.
yeah,
Are they typically quite more valuable than the regular records?
well, they can be. They're definitely somewhat desirable. So so there's something called Record Store Day. It's an annual celebration of independent record stores. And I've been part of that for many years. And it started in Raleigh. And so it's a really strong group that has worked with labels and like, we want to promote these independent record stores. We want these independent record stores to grow because if it wasn't for us hanging on, the big box stores and the big department stores wouldn't be selling vinyl today.
Right.
And, and things like that. And so they are they are definitely champions for the independent record store, and so there's something called an indie release, and
Okay.
so a lot of stores will not have an indie release. It's only for independent record stores,
Okay.
and
So indie is like short for independent.
mhm, yeah,
Okay. Okay.
exactly, and so and of course, for instance, this was an indie pressing that's on a clear vinyl.
Oh,
You
okay.
may see some color in there, but then there's marbled vinyl, um, and it's just so cool to see cool things like that. Do you specialize? I specialize in records that are in beautiful condition. I love, love, love the jazz community, and I love selling jazz records. There's
Okay.
nothing like finding a Blue Note record, um, for that. I mean, like Lou Donaldson. This is a Blue Note record,
Okay.
and the Blue Note label is just so gorgeous.
Oh,
And
that
then
is very attractive. Yeah.
there's so many wonderful things about this label and what they stood for and what they did as a label to bring people music that you could listen to that would sound good.
Okay. Are they still in business, Blue Note?
They are. They
Okay.
are. Yeah,
Okay.
they absolutely are. Do you use a template to explain your grading? What's your criteria? So there's something called gold mine. Gold mine used to be so important before the internet kind of took over in that respect. But Goldmine has a grading system. You can do an internet search, Goldmine record grading, and so it's just like Mom says, near mint, very good, plus very good. And there's also a grade called G, which is good, but G for grading records is not a wonderful listening experience.
Okay.
Not at all. It could be full of marks. It could be like full of hiss,
Oh,
full of
really? Good. So good is basically like
pour.
what? Not poor, but which like one step above poor.
Um, yeah, it's
Not
good.
not even acceptable, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, there's some records that are just like super hard to find, and
Okay.
if you
So
can
that
find
that's
one
why.
that's good, one that will play all the way through, no jumps, no repeats, even though it may be noisy and it may look like it was run over by your favorite sedan. Yeah, it's still desirable, and they're just hard to find. Some of these records. That's the reason some 7-inch records sell for thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Okay, this is the comment from Randy. Randy, oh, I'm sorry, Mom. I got the wrong comment here. I want to get Randy's comment. You think I didn't wear glasses? Randy's. I don't know how well you know Randy. I talk about Randy all the time. Randy's been involved in a little bit of everything. In fact, at one point he used to do concert promotions. He used to put on concerts, so he knows a little bit
Oh,
about the record business. So he wanted to know. He says he sees you know how to handle records, obviously, because it's your business. He wants
sure.
you like to share it with the viewers
The
how to
most
properly
important,
handle it.
absolutely, the most important thing when you handle vinyl is to never touch the surface. And so gravity is my friend. I let the gravity fall. I hold it by the edges. If I'm going to hold it like this, I put my fingers on the label. Some people's fingers are not long enough for that. And
True.
so that's what I do. I inspect it that way. You never pinch the record and pull it out. You never hold the record up like that. Never, never, never. And then I always like to do it, um, insert back into the inner sleeve when it's flat. Um, some people, and this is also acceptable, they will put their hands in there and they will remove it like that.
Okay.
That's me right there, folks. Sometimes when I get records in, they're not in a sleeve, they're not in a jacket, and I really, really, really have to make it be careful when I do that. And yeah, so there you go.
Guys, I appreciate you asking questions. Usually I have to ask you guys to ask questions, but I'm really appreciate you guys asking questions. So keep them coming. We're fortunate to have
That's
Adam here
good.
today, so ask all you want.
So
Because
up above me is Whipped Cream and Other Delights. It's Herb Albert and the Tijuana Brass, Whipped Cream and Other Delights. One of the most common records I would find, um, when I would have a buyback and people say, these were my uncle's records, and seems like there was always Whipped Cream and Other Delights. So I just kind of got to the point where I just started savoring every one. I have about, is it Tara?
yes,
Yeah, Tara
yes.
says, you have 6+ copies. I have probably 85 copies.
85, okay.
Yeah. And so, I have stereo, mono. I have it on CD. I'm looking at reel to reel. I keep missing those, and I like to get it on 8-track. I do have a radio cart, which is kind of hard to find, but doesn't mean it's valuable.
Lisa said that's one of her dad's favorite was Herb Albert.
Herb Albert, yes. Hey, Lisa, Herb Albert. But it's a very iconic cover. If people who grew up in the 60s, their father had a copy, and they always heard it. And it's a really good record, folks. It sounds great.
Okay. We talked about grading system. Okay, and also you talk about cleaning records, and I didn't know that you could wash vinyl records. I would have thought that it would damage the labels. Can you explain cleaning and washing vinyl records?
So there's 2 methods I have for washing records. I have a VPI, which is a wet vacuum record cleaning machine. And I essentially just place the vinyl on a platter. It rotates. I apply fluid. I have a brush, and I hold the brush down, and it rotates in the brush. And then it has an arm, and I vacuum. I vacuum clean the record. It gets it mostly dry. Then I put it out to dry to both sides. I also, before I got my VPI, I would go to the sink, and I would take lukewarm water and a touch of whatever dish detergent I have.
Okay.
And I would take a sponge, and I would just go in a circular motion. Then I would rinse it. I never concern myself with the label. Never, 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 never. Maybe one item.
Is that something you should rinse off the vinyl before you put it, or just like you said, just take the sponge? Because if you have, again, I don't know. I'm just asking. There was something already on the record. I mean, would it damage it?
No, I mean it's just like washing the dish. Like
okay,
some people put dishes, they submerge them in dishwater and they let them soak. But
gotcha.
Sometimes you're like, I'm finished with this dish, and you turn on the water and you just wash it, and so it's like that. But on my Facebook page, I do have a video that shows you how to wash a record in the sink. And sometimes when I get records and they're very dirty, I will wash them in the sink before I take them to my VPI.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned too that that the labels aren't glued on, right? They're thermal sealed somehow.
They are pressed on there with heat.
Pressed on. Okay.
So when records are pressed, they essentially take a little hockey puck.
Okay.
And then on each side they place the label, and then of course when it's pressed, it's a matter of heat and steam that causes the vinyl to spread out, and the label will naturally adhere to that.
Gotcha.
But it's not glue.
It's not glued on, so that's why. Okay. So you had mentioned, I think, like 1 out of 100 records has been your experience that the label might get damaged by washing them.
Will bubble up. Yeah.
Will bubble up. Okay.
It's so few that I don't even think about it anymore.
Okay. So I guess if something like really, really super valuable, you have to be extra careful. But typically you would just wash them, right?
Yeah, I watched one this week. It's a very hard to find reggae record. Okay. And it's a 7-inch, and I went and did it in there. And I'll probably have to wash it another time or two. My VPI only does 12 inches.
There's another question from Randy. Do you buy cutouts?
So when I was a kid and I would go to the record
Can I interrupt you for 1 second? Randy, you know what cutouts is. Adam knows what cutouts is. I don't think a lot of us probably don't know what cutouts are. What are cutouts?
So cutouts were So I'm just going to go back. Just say in the '80s, a record store would buy 25 copies, 30 copies, 50 copies of this one record, and then 2, 3 weeks after it released, they have 10. So they would send 8 back to the distributor, and they would get credit for it. And then the distributor would say, "We got all these records." So they would take and do a saw, and they would cut part of the jacket, or
Okay,
they
yeah,
would flip the
I remember
corners,
that now. Okay.
and they would put it in a cutout bin. Okay, and I remember going to the record store in the '80s and buying cutouts. I didn't mind. I was like, "Oh, they're $5 cheaper here." But Randy, I didn't put two and two together until I opened up the shop. But when I was in college, I worked at the radio station, and I learned that a lot of the cutouts were promotionals that were sent to the radio stations, as well as media and anybody who would review a record. Um, and so a lot of cutouts aren't cutouts, they were promotional. And so that's just something I learned over the years, and I'm able to share that information with my customers and able to share it with you. So don't get me
Yeah,
wrong, there's a lot of cutouts, but a lot of them were promotional.
promotion records. I remember back in the day, and I'm from the Philadelphia area, we had Tower Records. So
Hmm.
the '80s and early '90s, and that's where I used to shop for my records. Was like occasionally, I remember it was, geez, they're out of business now. What are the discount stores? It was like an electronic store. I forget what it. I think it was Circuit City. Circuit City used to run like a Memorial Day sale, and I used to always hustle to get there because they'd have like 50% off, or they'd have like $2 and $3 and 50% off. I'm going back 15, 20 years ago though.
Did Circuit City sell records?
They did, yeah,
Oh, I did not know that.
yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Pretty sure it was Circuit City. I mean, I remember, and we call it down the shore, the shore. We call it the beach shore, and I was dating a young lady that had a place down the shore. So it's like, oh, well, you go to the beach, I'll go to Circuit City and pick up a
Yeah.
bunch of LPs or whatever.
I never visited Tower Records. I saw the documentary All Things Must Pass. So,
Okay,
hey, I'm happy for everybody who got a
there's
chance
Best
to
Knows
listen.
Towers Records as well. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Let's talk a little bit about going out to source these and for resale. Can you tell us what to look for and what not to look for when we're outsourcing records? And
Oh,
also, in addition, you and I had spoken a little bit about CDs and cassettes.
yeah.
Are they worth picking up, and what should we be looking for?
I think everybody who wants to, who desires to sell records or who is selling records, they should buy them a proper turntable, get a proper audio system, and start listening to records. And that way, they can know quickly how to grade records based upon how they sound. Um, the reason that a lot of people, including myself, enjoy records is because they do have a different sound than CDs or cassettes. And so I always look for records that are flat, and I always look for records that have very little, if any, marks on the surface. Um, for instance, when I had a buyback today, and I spent a lot of time, and I'll take a record and I'll hold it out in front of me, and with my good eye, I'll just check to see if it's flat. Well, I don't want a record that looks like it's a roller coaster or a tilt-a-whirl, and I don't want a record that looks like it's a bowl or a dish, because when you play the stuff back, it affects the sound.
Sure.
And so that's what I always look for. Another thing, if you see a mark on the record, you can take your pinky and you can run your pinky across the mark. And if you feel the mark, most likely the record's going to sound very poor. If you look at the vinyl and it's just full of marks, full of marks, full of marks, I never use the word scratch, but if it's full of marks,
Okay.
there's a good chance that the record's going to sound very, very staticky. It's going to be a lot of pops and other things. I can wash a record, but I cannot repair a mark on it that would cause it to jump or repeat or when it rotates around and it hits that mark, it goes tick, 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 tick. So yeah,
or if the record is warped as well, right? You get the I guess the needle's going to skip around, right?
some of them will bounce at the beginning,
Right,
but
right.
if it's dished, you get something called sibilance, and that's where things start sounding like,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
you know. Lionel Richie has a natural sibilance, so when you say you say me,
Okay.
that, so that's okay. But Phil Collins doesn't, and if a record's not flat, and you start hearing that from Phil, you're like, that's not right. So that's what I look for as
Okay.
far as conditions concerned. And if you're going home and you're playing these records before you put them out for sale or before you happen to list them on an online selling platform, um, you want to make sure that you can properly grade the record so that you don't get bad feedback or you don't get somebody returning a record.
Right.
Yeah. What to look for, what not to look for.
Yes.
What do you like to listen to? There's a good chance if you enjoy it, somebody else is going to enjoy it. And what is it you see that you don't recognize? I get more excited about things that I don't recognize than things that I do recognize because I'm like, what's this? Because I'm curious to see if it's a new sound for me. Yeah. Another thing, I see Kiss records a lot, and most of them are just beat to mess, and it's hard to find Kiss records that are in beautiful condition.
There's a pro
The
tip
other
for you
thing,
guys. Okay.
the other thing, a lot of the Kiss came with company order forms. Some of them came with um,
Like posters, possibly.
posters.
Right.
Love Gun came with a little paper Love Gun. Yeah.
Okay.
One thing about this one was pressed in Germany. This is a very hard record to find, but if you notice that the font on the SS is different than what we are used to seeing, and that's because in Germany they didn't want the SS that Kiss uses to remind them of anything that had to do with
Oh, the SS and Nazi. Okay.
yes, exactly.
Okay.
And so a lot of people go crazy when they find this record right here, and there's
That's
some
very
completed,
collectible. Okay.
very desirable, absolutely. Um, there's tons and tons and tons and tons of the Beatles records, and I usually don't get excited when I see the Beatles records, but when I find a Beatles record that's pressed in Canada or pressed in Europe, I get a little more excited. Yeah, and then yeah, you try to repair covers with paste. Um, I, I, I don't. I typically just put them in, I bag them. Um, older records I bag because I don't want the jackets to get split anymore. This one has shrink wrap, and I definitely don't want the shrink wrap to get damaged when it's in the bins. And so I bag them. In the back, I'll put the record in the inner sleeve. Yeah. Another thing, it helps me inspect a record quicker after I do that. This is a very difficult record to find. This is Tim Buckley, and a lot of people might just pass over it because they're just not familiar with him. But
Right.
this was released on Frank Zappa's record label, and Tim Buckley, and so it's beautiful. It's in shrink, and someday somebody's going to walk in here and go like, oh, "I've been looking at that record." I'll
Now,
just put
when you
it.
say bag them, what does that mean? Bag them.
I call this a bag right here.
It's kind of like a sleeve,
Yeah,
like a protective sleeve. Okay.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Is
So
that
yeah.
something that we should consider purchasing, or is that just something more like for a record shop would purchase that?
Well, yes, it one protects the cover, and then if you ship this record,
Right.
you would want to take it out of the inner sleeve, put it in the back of the bag, and I just rotated it around so that when it's being shipped, of course we want to pack it, and we want to pack it tightly. We don't want it to slide
Right. So,
out.
so you take it out of the sleeve. I mean, not out of the sleeve, out of the
I'll take it
the
out of the
album
jacket.
cover. Right,
Yeah.
right.
And then, of course, if I leave it like this,
It's going to shuffle
it
back
can
and forth.
slide
Right?
out. But
Right.
if I rotate it around like this, there's less damage. That's how I ship them, folks.
Okay.
I even ask people if they purchase a new record, if they would like for me to open the record and put the record on the outside. And the reason is because it can damage right here, and it can cause seam splitting. So yeah,
For the album cover, it can damage the album cover during
yeah, the
shipment.
jacket can get
Okay.
seam split. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Now you had mentioned in our pre-chat that you're doing very well with cassette tapes. Why don't you tell us a little bit about cassette tapes?
I love cassette tapes. I've always have ever since the time that I got my first Walkman or a Walkman copy. Until I had, on the farm we had cassette tapes in the trucks, and we would pop it in there, and so yeah, I probably sold 25 cassettes today, and I'm one of the stores that welcome cassettes, and I love selling cassettes. Now, cassettes, I don't test them. I always tell people, let me know if you have any problems with any of these cassettes, because not all of them hold up well. Some of them just sound rah, 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 rah. And
I was
if they
going to
get,
ask you that because I know myself. I mean, I was like at the tail end of like 8 tracks in the cassettes. So
Mhm,
I was basically I was like the cassette generation, I guess, so to speak. And vinyl,
mhm,
obviously too, but and people used to keep them in their hot cars. I mean, 100 some degrees outside, 140, 150 degrees in a car sometimes. So
exactly.
so that you don't bother playing the cassettes. You just say you'll take a return or whatever.
I do a visual. On a cassette, there's and this is something that's easily repairable, folks. Um, in the center, you can see that
Well,
there's a
Randy's
little
comment off
piece
for a
of
second here.
foam.
Okay.
There's a little piece of foam, a little pad, and
Okay.
sometimes that falls off, or sometimes it's missing. However, easy fix. It takes a pair of tweezers, Elmer's glue, and just a little bit of felt. Yeah, and so that's an easy. If it's hanging out at the bottom, just a matter of gluing it back. And but anyway,
So
so
you would go in and like go in the wheel and kind of like loosen it so the tape can come out,
yeah,
and then you would attach it. Okay.
you have to have a pencil, right?
Yeah, a pencil. Sure, sure, sure.
That's always the mean. And so, but
Okay.
not all of them will work with a
Right.
pencil. But yeah. So yeah, I usually use my finger. And then of course, cassettes. I would record things off the radio, and I would end up going to concerts and recording concerts on cassettes. So cassettes is a wonderful medium. Um,
Why do you
cassette.
think that? You think because like I guess the 70s and 80s are kind of coming back, like the people that are having children. Is that why the cassettes are coming back into popularity?
So a few years ago, it was everybody getting their parents' hand-me-down cars that had
Right.
cassettes in it. I know that there's been a recent interest in cassettes because of Stranger Things,
Okay.
and then of course I love finding a mixtape. I love finding a Grateful Dead live show on a cassette. Absolutely. Um,
Okay. Randy had a question. I took it down because when you went to show us
yes,
about the
I
cassettes.
do, Randy. Do I ship in record shipper boxes? Absolutely. I got one right here.
Yeah, that was one of my questions, Randy. So we might as well address that now. I mean, like you had briefly mentioned how you ship. You take it out of the sleeve, out of the I should say the album cover. Why don't you show us a little bit about that?
So there's many different style of record shippers I use. Um, I when I buy new records, they come in nice boxes, and so sometimes I'll ship one record, in a box this big, and I'll put things in it to make it tight. This is a fairly common shipper. It's got an adhesive. You remove this right here, and it's got adhesive, but I always tape it up several times and ship it that way. This is a good sturdy box for shipping. There's the traditional white ones that fold over 4 times. Those are okay. I'll use those too, but I prefer not to. I always cut or purchase cardboard spacers to go in here just to keep the record tight and moving around. And so yeah.
What is that? What is that box called? That type of box?
A record mailer, a record shipper.
But you said as opposed to the white ones that fold over. I mean, I'm just trying to
Yeah,
determine the
those
difference.
were also. So you can go to Uline, and I'm not endorsed or promoting Uline.
Yeah, I mentioned Uline. Randy and I talk about Uline all the time. The problem with Uline is they don't have any local pickup, and they have pretty big. I mean, you're buying for stores, obviously, but as a smaller reseller, anyway, I typically don't use Uline, but I use like eBay or I use Boxeries and other service I use is one of the, okay.
Sometimes you can reach out to your local record store,
Okay.
and they may be willing to sell you 1 or 2 or 5 or 12
Okay.
shippers. And if you build a relationship with them, when they place an order, they may be able to order a few extras for you and give
Gotcha.
you a little bit of a break, but they still may purchase profit from it. I know that when the world went crazy, a lot of people said, "Hey, can I buy some shippers from you?" I'm like, "No way! I'm holding on to my shippers,
Yeah, you need 'em.
because
Yeah.
they were so hard to get."
Right.
Um,
There's basically a question on what we're talking about.
any recommendations for economical record shippers? Oh yeah, Uline. I'm sure a lot of people will agree that they just have good quality materials.
Yeah, I would grab it. My catalog's upstairs.
Yeah, they send you a catalog about this thick every other day, no, a few times a year.
Let me
And
interrupt you for 1 second. I tell you, I'm ADD, and if I don't mention things, I forget to mention them. Guys, just as a side note, and most of you are experienced resellers, but again, I'm trying to grow my channel to people that are newer sellers as well. It doesn't cost you anything to get a catalog from Uline, so just go on their website, sign up for it, and they ship it to you for free. So you can actually compare products and compare prices of Uline to the other distributors as well. So it's worth your
Right.
while to subscribe and have them send you a catalog out.
Hello, JJ. JJ, yeah, JJ gets some. I have some boxes that are like so a vinyl record is 12 inches in diameter, and with the jacket, it comes to about 12 and a quarter to 12 and a half inches wide, and so I get boxes that are probably 16 by 16, and they have the side is, I want to say double wall, but there's that much space between the record and the wall. And so sometimes I'll ship one record in there, because if I ship it media, they don't concern so much about the size as much as the weight.
Right.
And so I have a lot of
you're shipping that. That was the other thing. You ship them out media mail through the USPS.
Unless it's now I'm definitely not going to ship a $500 record.
No.
I will ship that priority, even if I pay for it myself.
Right.
And then I'll use a double box system that I have to make sure. But a lot of my feedback is because of the way I ship items and things like that.
Funny you said that, Lisa. I mentioned that before, like not shipping things in cereal boxes as a joke. And believe it or not, people do that. They ship in pizza boxes, cereal boxes. A lot of crazy shippers out there.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons a lot of people like to buy from me locally.
Sure.
Is because they may get a better deal online. It may not arrive the same way condition that they purchase it, but they can hold, touch, and feel. Yeah.
Here's a question from Tara. Do the Do Not Bend stickers come in bulk? Can you buy them in bulk?
I would not. I never use a Do Not Bend sticker. I'm sure it's a meme, but sometimes you'll see a shipper similar to what I showed you that's inside of a mailbox, so it's been curled and put in there. I'm sure it's just a meme, but the more there is to protect it, to prevent it from getting bent or crushed, yeah. And so Yeah, I would never. I never write on a box. Fragile. Do not bend. I never do any of that stuff um,
Does
at
that just
all.
encourage him to do that?
Um,
I had a friend of mine as a reseller, and she always used to put, fragile, fragile. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, the UPS guy, the postman, probably just takes and throws it against the wall of the truck.
hey, let's see how fragile it really
Let's see
is.
how really fragile it is. Let me shake it a little bit, right?
Absolutely. JJ's. I'm sorry.
Okay.
JJ mentioned that Uline is a few miles from him. Are you able to pick up locally, JJ, if you place an order?
Yeah,
I've heard-
Randy told me. I think he said he can't pick up his. Randy does a lot. Randy has a wholesale business, has a resale business, a very large company, and he says they don't allow him to pick up, and I think it's like a mile or 2 miles from his home. So I don't believe, I could be incorrect, but I don't believe the Uline allows you to pick up anywhere.
I've heard some people say they are able, and I've heard a lot of people say they are not.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think at one point they had it before the pandemic, but I don't know anymore. Like I said, I don't buy from them, but I know Randy does buy from them.
Now, I have actually seen videos where people have a template
JJ said they do not. Okay.
and they cut their own boxes and they glue their own boxes and they make their own separate boxes. But as long as I have new product coming in, I'm not going to recycle those boxes. I'm going to use those boxes.
Right.
And you might buy a record to get it in a box this big, but yeah.
Harry was joking. Well, I think Harry was serious. He says pizza boxes aren't. What Harry say here? Pizza boxes are thick and it's good for paperbacks.
You can go to a.
I guess you could buy fresh pizza boxes, right?
Absolutely. You can go
to a pizza shop and say, "Can I buy some pizza boxes from you?"
There, we have a place called If It's Paper, and they sell a lot of stuff. And I have seen new pizza boxes for sale that have never been folded, and things like. I remember one year, I was teaching, and in one of the things we did is I got some new pizza boxes, and I had every student design their own pizza box, and then they learned how to fold it.
Okay.
And that was fun. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to pull Harry's comment up on here and read that. No, he goes, it pulls out the oily paper out and throw that away. Don't believe that is there some pizza crust once in a while, but not the oil piece of paper. I think that's wax paper.
This book smells so good. Yeah.
Your vinyl smells like pizza. It smells like pepperoni pizza.
There you go.
Or your book. I guess you ship in books, not really vinyl. Guys, I just want to remind. No, I shouldn't remind. I should say I want to let you know. Hang in there if you can. Towards the end of the video, we're going to have a little announcement. We're going to have some nice giveaway, so to speak. So you guys can hang in to the end. Don't rush to the end because I might tell it before the end because I learned that a long time ago about don't say I'll tell the end because everybody will fast forward to the end. So I'll probably tell it towards the end, but I want you guys to hang in there. So I appreciate you guys being here, and Adam and I had discussed things. We're going to have a couple giveaways. So if you can hang in with us, be great. If not, make sure you watch the replay. You'll be instructions on how you can get involved in the giveaway. Okay, sir.
So Mom has a question that's going to take up the next hour and a half.
What was that? Okay.
How do you know if something is a first press? Mom, believe it or not, I've been doing this for so long, I can almost hold a record in my hand and tell if it's an original pressing or not. Now, let's talk about the band, the Beatles. So a lot of people are like, oh, this is a first press. Whoop-dee-doo. First press, was it the first press in Winchester, Virginia? Was it the first press in Hollywood, California? Was it the first press in Stanton? Was it the first? It just goes on and on and on. And by all definition, the first press of the Beatles would have taken place in the UK. So, but there are a lot of things that can help people identify exactly what pressing they have. I'm going to grab this Blue Note record again, just for that
So Harry was kid. I thought he was kid, but sometimes I'm not sure with Harry. So he's a very good source of picking up boxes, different sizes and shapes where he works. So he's good with boxes and bubble wrap. Okay,
Oh
so
yeah.
Harry is not using pizza boxes to ship his books. Okay.
Okay, very cool. Okay, I got two examples to show you about
Yes, sir.
how to tell if it's an original record or not. And these little nuances, is the difference between a $20 record and a $200 record. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of a band called Lynyrd Skynyrd. This is a record called Second Helping, MCA. Fairly common record, not as common. Hello, baby. Not as common as some.
That's Adam's watch cat.
This is Nico, everybody.
Nico.
And so, this record's beautiful. You can't. It's hard to tell online how a record looks, but it's clean. It's flat. I listened to it. It sounds great. But if you look in the dead wax, and the dead wax is the space between the label and when the actual grooves of the record end.
Okay, Nico, we see you, buddy.
There's etchings and there's stamps, and there's numbers, there's symbols, and I often refer to online to identify some of this stuff, and a lot of the stuff I just have memorized. But this particular record by Lynyrd Skynyrd is truly a first press. And one thing about this record is that you just don't see them very much when they have this right here on there, and it's Sound of the South Records.
Okay.
And so this would make it almost a $100 record compared to a $20 record that doesn't have Sound of the South. But it's all about condition, and it's all about desirability. So that's one way there, Mom. Another thing, these Blue Note records will take you in a hole really fast, and it's hard to get out of it. Okay. Some things that we look for with Blue Note, and we don't always get the proper inner sleeve, but this is Liberty Records purchased Blue Note, and when they did, they used this for, I don't know if it was 1 year or 2 years. I want to say it was 66, 67. They used a Liberty inner sleeve. But a few things to look for on Blue Note is the address of the label, and you start looking for things like an R with a circle around it, and then in the dead wax you look for certain things in there also that gives you clues and helps you identify things. On the back of the jacket with Blue Note, another important thing is how the address is printed on the back of the jacket. So you could go from hypothetically a $100 record to a $20 record based upon that, and it's all about people want to have a record that's as close to the original stamper as possible to get the better sound.
Gotcha.
Somebody asked about if German records were superior.
Right. That's Randy. Yep.
Yeah. So Germany, Holland, England, Japan, they cared more about vinyl than America did. I'm sure it was profitable for them, but it was a little more important to be profitable for America. So some of the sound was sacrificed for profit. Yeah. So, but if you find a German record and it sounds horrible, it's got a lot of marks on it and it's staticky, noisy, don't matter. It's all about how it sounds. Yeah.
Right.
Some Japan records do sound good, some don't. Some don't.
Oh, really? Okay.
You know, so as a rule, it's just not that.
Okay.
Here's a record from a local group. Uh, you may have heard the Avett Brothers. This is one of their early records. Four Thieves Gone, and it's the Robbinsville Sessions. You can pretty much find a current pressing of this, but when you find an original pressing of this, it really makes a big difference. And this one's on traditional vinyl. And so I'm, again, when the right person walks in here, they're going to be like, bam, bam, bam.
Now you're saying that's something that you, I guess, have to be almost like a professional to know, though, right? As far as the
Right. I mean, yeah. It takes time to research things.
Sure, sure.
And Adam, you could research it and figure out which particular pressing you have. And if I'm not mistaken, this was like, I don't know, 2007 or something. But Avett Brothers are very popular. Their father has been to my store and shopped. So there you go. I love it when I can match, and I can't find the 7-inch, but I love it when I can match the record, the cassette, and the 7-inch, and put that on the wall together and offer that for sale.
That's a nice segue. I had a question for you about selling 7-inch records.
7-inch records.
Right. You've been selling a lot on your YouTube channel this month, and is that something we should be looking for?
I love 7s.
Okay.
I love 7s. Now what is very popular as far as 7 inches are concerned, an 80s 7-inch picture sleeve are super desirable. However, most of them are $2. You saw the Avetts in 2007, 2008. I think we're alone now, folks, but most 80s picture sleeves, 7 inches, or I price them mostly at $2. I have some that are 4, 5, 6. But it's just
when we're out at yard sales and garage sales, is that something we should be looking into, the 7-inch? And I call them 45s, you call them 7-inch, which I wasn't aware, but apparently they're made in other than 45 RPMs, right? 7-inch don't have to be 45s.
Right. The 7 inches come in. I've seen them in 16, 33, 45.
I always just called them 45s. I had no idea that they should be called 7-inch, right?
Yeah, and so yeah, that's what I look for. But yes, I have been doing an entire month of 7-inch record sales on my YouTube channel, Do It Live. And it's not that I'm making a lot of money, but I'm getting a lot of stuff out of here. And yes, when you go out digging, absolutely. You look for stuff you're not familiar with. If it says so-and-so in orchestra, that's usually an indication like it's not desirable. Montevanti is not desirable. So here's a really cool, desirable Duran Duran.
Wow.
The Reflex. And this is a limited edition special poster sleeve, and I'm going to show you what it's all about.
Okay. Oh, look at that. Okay. How about that? I remember that song was, I don't know if the song was called Hungry Like a Wolf, but I remember the lyrics, Hungry Like a Wolf.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. And so these are fun. People like to get them. They like to get stuff that they had when they were, a teenager. And
I guess that's another thing you have to be aware of too, right? If an album or an LP came with a some kind of, like you said, a giveaway, maybe a poster or something, you really need to know that, because maybe someone's buying that to buy it for the LP and the poster. And if you don't have the poster, that's something you need to be aware of.
These are fun. These are typically orchestra or crooners music, and not very fun to listen to, but they sure are fun. These look good hanging in a window.
Okay, so the color vinyl, I guess it depends on what it is, right? I mean, just because it's colored vinyl doesn't mean it's more valuable, correct?
Correct. This is probably 1949, this one right here, or 50. I mean, it's late 40s, early 50s for this one. RCA ended up doing color coding just to identify the genre. So they sure are cool. Some do come with stickers. Exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, the main thing is like condition and desirability. Is it something that you would listen to?
Right.
Is it
That's very important. Is the condition, right?
right? Is it something you would feel comfortable reselling? If you're a Pink Floyd fan, you wanna sell as many of the Pink Floyd records that you enjoy listening to, and you can listen to them before you sell them, and that way you can properly give an audio grade also, as well as a visual grade.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I did hear, I believe I heard you say you avoid purchasing 78 records. Why
Oh
is
yeah,
that? Why is
in a
that?
heartbeat. The most desirable ones are pre-war blues, and it's just like looking through 10,000 records to find one. So
Okay.
I I
So it's
made
very
it
rare that you can find a valuable 78, so you pretty much just pass on.
right. I've made mistakes and purchased some and realized they didn't sell. I've had people bring them and donate them, and then I realized it was hard to give them away. So I basically just put them in a box, tape them up, and say free mystery box of 78s. And I'm like, you can't open up in here.
You have to
Get
take
them
it
out
with
here.
you.
Take them all or none. Yeah.
There you go. Right.
Ooh, the Beatles. So it was a self-titled record. It was called The Beatles, The Beatles. It has a white cover. It came with a large photo of each Beatle. And it also came with a poster. And the funny thing is the poster has a nude photograph of Paul McCartney.
Oh, okay.
If you can find the poster, absolutely. And so there you go. And they did have a serial number, but it's so funny because you'll probably notice that the serial numbers even have an A in front of it or a little dot. And so there were, what was it, 4 or 5 pressing plants in America,
Okay.
and every one of them, they didn't say, now what numbers are you going to do? So we'll start over here. Everybody just went click, 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 click.
Okay.
And so you'll find duplicate numbers.
Okay, guys, we have several other things we want to talk about, but I told you guys if you're hanging around, I appreciate you guys being here. So, like I said, Adam and I had discussed a pre-chat. We're going to have a couple giveaways. So, the requirement for the giveaway is you have to be subscribed to my YouTube channel, which if you're chatting, obviously you're subscribed because there's been some issues on some of the live streams. So, with bots and things and posting untoward things in the chat. So that's why I turned on subscribers only, live and learn. And anyway, so you have to be subscribed to my YouTube channel, and please follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. And the thing is, you have to leave a comment in my comment section of this video when it uploads, and just put vinyl in the comment somewhere, VINYL vinyl. So whatever you want to say with vinyl, again, you have to be subscribed. Make sure you are subscribed to me, the channel, and also make sure you are on Instagram and Twitter. You follow me on both of those. So Adam and I, we're going to give out. I'm going to have 2 drawings next week when we do the video. I'll do a random comment picker. So again, you have to comment in the video when it uploads. Comment in the comment section below. Just put vinyl in your comments, and then we'll do a drawing next week. So want to bring that to your attention while you were here, and like 2 other things we want to talk about. So don't be leaving. I just want to make sure I made you guys aware of that. Okay. I'm sorry, Adam. I interrupted you momentarily. Were you discussing something? I interrupted you.
No, we were just talking about the Beatles. The Beatles.
The Beatles. Okay, great. Okay, I want to get a little bit into as far as like listing and selling vinyl. Besides your own website, on what e-commerce platforms do you sell records? And do certain platforms do better than others with vinyl? I know you said you also sell on Instagram as well, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I love my Instagram. I love Instagram sales. So I do sell on eBay, and I do sell on Disco GS, and as well as my Instagram, and sometimes on Facebook, but not Facebook Marketplace. Just mainly my pages, and yeah, I think that's what I do. Yeah, and my website, recordcrate.com, which I have thousands, tens of thousands of records titles available there. Do any do better than others? There's times that I enjoy listing on eBay, and then there's other times I'm like, yuck. And so I jump over on Disco GS. I'm on the Disco GS craze now, and I'm listing there.
Yeah,
Like,
that seems. And again, I'd heard about that many moons ago, and in fact, I didn't include it when we first talked, and I went and did some research, and I was made, kind of refreshed my memory that there's something, and that's something that kind of like you can cross post, I guess, and connect your website to it, or can you connect like an eBay store or something to that, or no?
I'm not that I'm aware of, but you
Okay,
can do the, what is it, CSV or CVS files.
okay,
You can upload those. I like playing records, folks. I like selling to people. I like selling records to people face to face. So a lot of that I have not taken advantage of and learned those database
okay.
sharing file, blah, blah, blah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And so, yeah. But is one better than the other? I don't know.
How are you? Like I said, you had mentioned you sell records on vinyl on Instagram. Why don't you tell us a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit of how you do that?
So I try to post almost daily, several times a day. Today I did not post anything. I was just too busy today to
Okay.
post anything. But I'll get something and I'll post it and I'll say, hey, so and so, this is the price, blah, and then people will reach out to me. They'll call or they'll message or they comment, and yeah. And so yeah, I've done a lot of that, as well as selling locally, as well as shipping through Instagram. I love Instagram.
Larry, I'll let Adam respond to that, but I have all of Adam's contact information in the description of the video. He has 3 record stores in North Carolina. I listed his website, as well as listed the addresses and phone numbers of his stores. And again, he also, if you go on his page, is recordcrate.com, you have your eBay store linked on there as well.
I do.
So you're in Raleigh. Where are the other 2?
I'm in Raleigh right now. I also have Wake Forest. I was there today, and then Selma. Selma's on Interstate 95. So if you're going from Miami to Manhattan, you can just stop by and see it.
Going from Miami to Manhattan, okay.
There you go. And
so it's right off the interstate.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I rely upon a lot of travelers to stop in, which they haven't been traveling very much lately. And you know why?
Well, yeah. Hopefully that'll improve in the near future, right?
Yeah. Hey, Ping, good to see you.
Okay, I'm gonna share your eBay store for a second here. Just let me make sure I get the right page here.
Okay.
All right. I'll share that, guys, so you can just kind of see his eBay listings. All right. Let's share that. Share the screen. Chrome tab. Okay.
Oh, the Cynics.
Make that full screen so you can see a little bit better. Yeah, so this is Adam's eBay store. Again, it's under Record Crate, so that's something you guys can look into. And like I said, I have all his stores listed, but I just wanted to kind of show you guys a little bit about that. Let me make sure I get around the page here, so hopefully I can scroll a little bit on here.
Yeah. And I'm sure everybody can notice that I have a badge, Record Store Day badge,
right,
that I got from eBay.
Right.
So eBay puts that on every one of my listings.
And that's because you're an independent record dealer, correct?
That's because I'm part of Record Store Day.
Records. Could you explain it to us?
Yeah, Record Store Day is a group of independent record stores. We have we have a celebration once a year called Record Store Day, and it's a celebration of independent record stores. We have some limited pressings. That Ren's record right there is a Record Store Day title, and so there's exclusive and limited pressings that are available for that day. We also do a small one for Black Friday.
Okay. Now, like you said, you get independent release as well because you have a record store and you're an independent store, so you get some limited release records as well.
Right.
Okay. So I just wanted to show you guys that little bit about that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about? Well, we talked about Discogs a little bit. How will we, if we were to like reselling records, how would we properly list the records, description, condition,
Sure,
etc.?
sure.
How should we do that?
So for eBay, one thing I would advise you not to do, some people list condition as used. Of course it's used. It's pre-owned, it's pre-loved, but used is not in my opinion, a condition.
Right.
Um, Research the gold mine record grading standard. Properly communicate like that. Get yourself a proper turntable with a proper audio system. I don't mean a suitcase system. You want to be able to pick it up and hear
That's where I'm at right now. Suitcase system.
If you want to invest, if you want to start selling records, or if you're selling records and you want to up your record sales, get you a proper system where you can enjoy listening to it, and that way you can describe the sound as you play it. One thing I like to say is it plays all the way through, no jumps, no repeats. It's as quiet as a CD, and I love records that are as quiet as a CD. And then you can also explain what your turntable is, what your style is, and what your preamp and your amp and this and that is. So it lets people know that you're serious about what you're doing, and that way you can get a few more dollars versus someone says it's a record, it's used, and you don't know what you're actually committing to purchase.
Yeah, and I guess a lot of people are collectors too, so they want to know the condition before they purchase it.
Right, exactly. And as far as
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's okay. As far as Disco GS, if you were to go and look for the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, you'll find maybe 400 different versions, and you have to find the actual version that you have and probably list it. Sansui 9090 dB receiver recommended. Absolutely, I love Sansui. I think that's a 1990s receiver, if I'm not mistaken, flipping goodies. But yeah, I have a 90s Sansui right over there. Boy, do I love that machine. I also love Technics. Oh my gosh, these Technics.
I had one back in the day. I think I still have a cassette tape down my basement.
Where is it?
Right.
Oh, there it is on the bottom.
Right.
Those Technics are incredible, and they're almost as good as an Marantz, but a lot cheaper. But I love those. I love as many of those as I can get and pass them on to my customers. So with Disco GS, it's very, very, very specific, and so you have to do a lot of research to find exactly which one is yours. And if you list it in the wrong category, wrong listing, and somebody gets in there like, hey, and you're like, okay.
Right. Okay.
You know.
Is that something
76? Okay, gotcha.
Okay. Is that something like, and we talk about under promise and over deliver? Is that something you do with vinyl as well? Like maybe if you grade something, if you want to grade something, say again, I don't recall the grading system you use, but maybe grade it a little bit lower than what it is. So when the customer gets it, said, "Oh, he said again, I don't want to use the bad terms, but he said it was acceptable, but it's in very good condition." Is that something you would do typically, or you just grade it the way it is, and that's it?
I don't like the word acceptable.
Well, I'm using the wrong terminology.
Sure. It's totally okay. But if it's near mint,
okay,
I may list it VG plus, and
so that's the next category down from near mint.
Mm-hmm. Well, some people use excellent, some people use VG plus, stuff like that. But I'm real quick with my Disco GS listings. I'm put, you're buying from an independent record store. And then I'll put things, trying to find exactly where I'm looking at in my little notebook right now on my computer just to see what I have listed. But I basically just say you're supporting an independent mom and pop store, a family-owned store. things like that. But yeah, I just try to be as transparent as I possibly can, because I enjoy listening to records. I could sell stocks, make more money.
Well, I don't know the way the market is these days, but I guess you could sell short if you wanted to. But
If I'm selling for somebody
I
else,
don't give out financial advice, you know. So
yes. If I'm brokering for someone else, but
right.
I I enjoy records, and because of that, I feel like I can give somebody else the same experience I can receive as I listen to the records.
Now, I think you had mentioned this before. I think you mentioned earlier in the show, but why some records bring more money than others, and it's
Hmm.
the same title. You said that because I guess it's the availability, like the limited production at various
Right, right.
record pressings.
Yeah. I
So if
mean,
it's
like,
produced at one location as opposed to another, it's more valuable.
right, right, right. And why some sound better than others, pressed at different pressing facilities.
Okay.
Um, Fleetwood Mac Rumors, in the when I first opened, I I would get tons of those in, and they were like $5 each. Now, if I get one and it's in beautiful condition, first edition, second edition, and it's beautiful, it's a $40 record.
Okay.
I can buy a new one that's a $25 record, but if
Oh,
I
really?
happen to find one that's pressed in Palace, which is in Germany, that's a $120 record.
Wow. Okay.
And the Palace record sounds so much better than anything.
Okay.
And why is that? It's just the way that people care to make these records,
Gotcha.
and the
Like
transfers.
Randy had said earlier, like Germany, that they took more, I guess, more care the way they pressed the records.
Hmm. Yeah, the whole process.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason you pay a little more money for a British car with a little fancy eel on the hood
Okay.
ornament that goes zzz when you turn the car off, and you have your fancy French mustard as you drive around. And
The great
those,
football.
yeah, absolutely. Those things were so many hands were on them rather than machines
Gotcha.
when they were being made. It's lots of care. Yeah.
Okay, guys, if there are any more questions for Adam, why don't you put them in the chat, and I'll just do a little housekeeping. And I do want to remind you guys, like I said, we are having the giveaway. So I know that the chat has thinned out a little bit, but for those of you that are here and stay towards the end, we are doing a giveaway. I'm going to do the drawing when I go live, or next Wednesday at 7 p.m. I will post that on the page. So if you enter, you'll be aware of it. Post it on my YouTube in the community section, community tab. But anyway, what you have to do is you have to be a subscriber to the channel. Okay, that's one, and you have to make sure that you're follow me on Twitter and on Instagram, and just leave a comment when the video uploads. Leave a comment in the comment section of this video, and mention vinyl somewhere in your comment. You can say whatever you want, just mention vinyl, and then I'll do a drawing next Wednesday evening for 2 different LPs. And Adam and I will work that out, and we'll decide what LPs we want to offer you guys. So anyway, I wanted to remind you guys that before we have Adam do his little spiel as far as talking about his YouTube channel and his record store, that again, I am not monetized. So again, guys, if you can help me out, I appreciate it. It takes time, money, and effort, just like anything else, to do a YouTube channel. I have PayPal, Buy Me a Cup of Coffee, Cash App, etc. And I also have Randy has his website that listed fakesix.com. So if you guys want to buy any delicious coffees, teas, or old-fashioned candies, Randy is kind enough to pay me a little commission, no cost to you. So when you register on Randy's site, you just put AE next to your name. So anyway, I want to give Adam an opportunity to talk about his record stores, talk about his website, and also his YouTube channel. So why don't you do that now?
All right. Well, hey, one thing I just thought about, Adam,
Yes.
if you are interested in reselling, you happen to go somewhere, whether it's a yard sale or an antique store or another record store, and you're buying records, especially this time of year, take white sheets and white towels, cover up the records, keep them out of the sun. You can go to this yard sale, then go to this yard sale, and this sun can damage a record. And if it does, there's no money in everybody. So yes, I do live YouTube sales. I do live record sales on my YouTube channel. I got one coming up at 8:50 tonight. It's all 7s for the entire month of July. I've been doing a 7-inch sale every night. And then I would sporadically just do LP sales throughout the week. And it's lots of fun. It's a great community, and lots of people like to come in and hang out and joke around and have fun. And don't pile records on each other. Yeah, don't stack them like pancakes. That's the quickest. If you go in a house and they're stacked like pancakes, exit the house and say, "Have a good day."
Yeah, don't
I don't even look at it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. My
Because that's how
website
they can get warped, correct?
exactly is so it's either heat or pressure that causes a record not to be flat anymore.
Right.
Good thought, Mom. And flipping goodies, I know what it's like to part some stuff. I got a lot of Luxman stuff I need to part out. My website is full of tons and tons and tons and tons of records, and they ship wherever you like them to ship.
And again, that's in the description section of the video, guys, and it's recordcrate.com to make it easy.
Instagram's my friend. I like a lot of people have one of those little recipes, so you just post on Instagram and it spreads out to many sites at one time, and that's always been a big plus for me. I have a Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, maybe another one I can't remember right now. So that's been a plus. This is called a spider. This is what you need to put in the center of your 7-inch records to play them. Yeah. And
Spider with a Y. I wasn't aware of that, but spider with a Y.
Yeah, spider with a Y. Yeah. And oh, Larry, I am processing 808 tracks that I bought.
Ooh, okay.
Good
a lot
for
of 8
you.
tracks.
Yeah. I would love to know how you sell those, and I'd love to talk with you about that.
Yeah, so all Adam's contact information is in the description section of the video. So, Larry, if you want to reach out to Adam, there's a way to reach out through him through his website, actually, too.
Yeah. And Adam, remind me what other questions I need to answer.
Oh no, I just want you to talk about your website, your YouTube channel. You said you have a sale coming up in about a half an hour or so. You're going to be selling some 7-inch records.
Absolutely. Yeah,
and that's on your YouTube channel. And
on YouTube channel.
I don't know. I can't get into post a link. So.
It's okay.
If you go to recordcrate.com,
there's a link to my YouTube channel.
There's a link on there. Right.
Yeah. And sometimes it's kind of difficult to find if you have an upcoming live, and I schedule mine through StreamYard also.
Right. So, or you can just type into the search engine for Google and or YouTube. Type in Record Crate, and that's Krate.
Yeah.
Record Crate.
I love my stores. It's been very difficult during the last 3 years, and looking forward for another day. And we have a shop cat in Raleigh. Her name is Nico. She's becoming more and more social.
Okay.
She's up front playing now, and she likes to join us for the live sales sometimes, and she likes to take up the entire camera, and so that's fun. But I've enjoyed
guys, so I have all 3 stores listed in the description section of the video, including the address and the phone number. And again, it's recordcrate.com, and also it's Record Crate with a K, Krate, on YouTube. So if you want to pop in and you see what Adam is selling, you can go on the punch in Record Crate, and again, the link is also on his website, recordcrate.com.
Yeah, and we just try to have fun. And if it wasn't for these live YouTube sales, I would not have my stores today. So the support is fun. Not only support as YouTube friends and record friends and music friends in the record community, but also, the financial support has really made a difference for me. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do in March of 2020. Sure. And so there we go.
Mom Knows Treasures Market is giving you a ringing endorsement. Adam said it was very fun. We all chat about music. Very friendly environment. So,
we always have a giveaway every night. Yes, Adam. We always have a giveaway every night too. So,
okay, great.
That's fun. Yeah.
Okay, guys. As I always say, time is your most valuable asset. I'd like to thank Adam for his time, and also those of you that are here for the live, watching the replay. Just please, if you can do me a favor, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and if you leave a comment, it helps the channel out. And again, remember the giveaway If you missed that, go replay the video. But we are having a giveaway for a couple LPs, so there are a couple requirements. So if you've watched the video, it'll tell you how to enter for the giveaway.
Sure.
I'll do that drawing next Wednesday at 7 p.m.
And I have one question for you, Adam, before we leave.
Yes, sir.
What was the last record you played?
I think it was Bob Marley.
Bob Marley. Which one?
What is the one? In fact, I was going to bring it down, and I didn't bring it down. I have it upstairs.
Cool.
Is it Legend? What is it?
Legends.
Legends.
Yeah,
yes.
that's a good one.
Yes,
that's
Legends.
a real popular one. That's one that is still available today. You can buy.
Okay, so you can buy it on a reprint. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Super.
On. Good record.
Okay, guys. Appreciate
Adam,
you
I've had
being here.
fun. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, guys. And again, all the information for Adam is in the description section of the video. And if you want to pop in his sale tonight, record Krate, Krate. Punch that in the YouTube search engine, and you can pop in and see Adam in about 25 minutes. Okay, guys. See you next Wednesday now. Take care now.